Now, more on the UN vote on President Trump's decision to recognize Jerusalem as the capital of Israel. The president threatened to cut aid to countries that voted against the U.S., and 128 of them did just that. Let's bring in Josh Letterman. He is the State Department reporter for the Associated Press. And Josh, clearly, no matter how you kind of twist this around and spin it, it's a hit to President Trump and to Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, correct?
It is, although it's less of a hit than it could have been. The United States and Nikki Haley's office are pointing out that the numbers could have been a lot worse. And if you combine the countries that either voted with us, abstained, or just didn't show up for the vote, there's about 65 of them. So bad, but not as bad as it could have been.
Yeah, that's the glass half full portion where, you know what, they were expecting about 150 votes. So of the 193 members that there are, you got 128. So, yeah, I mean, you can spin that to say that this could have been a lot worse against the U.S. But I want to put this up on the screen. This is the top, the top 10 countries, 8 of the top 10 countries that we give the most aid to, all voted against the United States on this. You can see there Israel, of course, voted with us on Afghanistan, Egypt, Jordan, Pakistan, and Kenya. Does it interest you that the countries that get the most aid, that had the most on the line, all decided to side with the UN on this?
Well, on the one hand, there was no realistic chance that some of those countries, such as Egypt and Jordan, were going to vote with the U.S. on this. They simply, because of their own domestic politics, couldn't do anything but reject the U.S. recognition of Jerusalem. But you're absolutely right that they defied what seemed like a clear threat to cut off this critical source of funding for those nations. And I think that they, in a way, called the president's bluff. And we're already seeing in the hours after this vote, the Trump administration start to back away from that. Just a few minutes ago at the State Department, the spokesman was saying there's been no final decision. And even Haley's office is saying, as far as UN funding, this will be one factor, but not the only factor.
You know what I found more interesting, Josh, is that, you look at the rundown here and you have India and Russia and China all voting against this. And Israel in recent months, Benjamin Netanyahu, has kind of touted them as allies. And they all kind of vehemently said, no, we're not going to go along with moving the the capital to Jerusalem.
That's right. I think one of the reasons you're seeing close U.S. allies on the opposite side of the U.S. is it actually was the U.S. that changed position on this, not all of those other countries. Under successive previous administrations, the U.S. believed Jerusalem was a final status issue that needed to be negotiated between the parties and didn't take a position on the capital issue. That changed under Trump. So these other countries actually are staying consistent as far as their view of how the capital issue needs to be addressed. And as a result, with this UN vote today, they found themselves on the opposing end of President Donald Trump.
And quickly, the president's threat to pull money away from those countries, do you think it happens?
I think probably not. There could be some symbolic, we're going to cut a small amount to sort of show that we're not happy with this. But the fact of the matter is we give this money to these countries for strategic reasons for us. Egypt is fighting a major insurgency in the Sinai Peninsula. It's very important for our own security and other interests that we have these relationships with those countries. And so for that reason, I anticipate most of that aid will continue.
Yeah, but the president is very high on loyalty. Josh Letterman, Associated Press. Josh, thank you.